So taking the greater picture, stepping back from what Denise was talking about, be careful what you're led into being burdened with and feeling guilty about. Guilt drives a mode of behaviour that is not always optimal by any means. It can be misunderstood guilt. In fact, in some sense, guilt is in itself a misunderstanding. It's an understanding that comes from a view that says in hindsight, and in hindsight you don't have the same sight, I might point out. You rewrite history, blame yourself, say that you could have done better and why on earth didn't I do better? And agree with whoever's blaming you. It's convenient to take the blame onto yourself. Convenient for some people who are accusing, and convenient for yourself in that it's all very neat. All I have to do is realize my mistake and put it right. So you change some aspect of your behaviour, and you could do it wrongly, with the best of motives, because you felt guilty doing the reverse. So I think Rosenberg may well be right. We've lived in societies that are of authoritarian structures, controlled by blame and guilt and the convenience of a localized solution that forces the burden of change and correction and safety upon the individual. So we accuse the murderer and we stop murder in society by making the penalty so heavy on the murderer that it makes their position, their choice of murder unacceptable to themselves. In other words, we change the payoff to certain individuals by assigning blame, responsibility, under some philosophy of they had the freedom to do it or not to do it. And we have a surface-wise peaceful society at the cost of the burden falling on individuals to keep the peace, to keep the harmony, regardless of the fact that it puts all the cost onto them as if they were to blame. Whereas really, as in the Buddhist understanding of things, even if they chose to do something, they chose because of certain socialization and conditioning and beliefs that they picked up and were given, causes and conditions beyond their control, going all the way back into the history of who they are. We blame them in that we say, well, given you're who you are, you acted as you did, and therefore we blame you. And the reply is, but I didn't choose who I am. The causes and conditions that have brought about my character and decision-making and value system is something beyond my control. In fact, it's really the responsibility of the society back through time that I've come from. And I had virtually no control over that at all, if any at all. Even my control was conditioned by it. Now, that doesn't mean to say you don't contain crime. I mean, someone who's going to go around murdering people, it's best if you keep them away from people. I'm not sure if it's humane to put all murderers together, or if that's a very inhumane solution. I'm not certain. But certainly not to put them with people who do not commit murder. That seems very unkind. We don't want to do that. So, doesn't mean to say we wouldn't use force. The state will use force and contain whatever behaviour it finds unacceptable, antisocial. But we're not out to punish, ideally. We'd like to harm, restrict and burden the accused, so to speak, as little as possible but necessary to contain the problem. That might be a relatively expensive way of dealing with crime. In the long run it might be much less expensive, I'm not sure. But the point is, I think it would be far more humane and loving and kind, to the extent that it can be carried out. And perhaps it can't be carried out completely, I'm not sure. So don't put these burdens on yourself that your marriage must survive at all costs, including death of self and complete submission to the other partner's good or bad intentions. Not at all. Absolute nonsense. Does that mean we don't take the relationship incredibly seriously and make all commitment that we can? Oh, we certainly do. There's no question of it. If we're not committed, we don't invest in the future. If we don't invest in the future gets pretty inferior to what it could otherwise be. It's a very pragmatic decision in that sense. It's a very spiritual one if your values are truly love and care of all people. And I mean all people, not just your partner, yourself, equally. Equally. They're both as important to God. And the kids. So, I mean, I'm not saying this is an easy decision-making situation. On the contrary, it's bafflingly difficult at times. But I am saying it's not marriage at all costs. And certainly it's not marriage at the death of both of the individuals, literally or figuratively. Marriage is to be a blessing. It's not a blessing but a curse. Well, it's best to have it dissolved. Better still if you can find ways of making it work. Oh, well, that's wonderful. Then we both kept our commitment, our yes, yes, no, no. But what comes more than this is of evil. And that's the Jesus teaching. Let your yes be yes and your no, no. We're not making vows. We're committing in an earnest sense of saying yes. I mean it in all earnest intent. No, I don't mean come what may, but I do mean with all earnest intent. And we should not cheat. I mean, if you're a beautiful young lady and you stuff yourself with food and treble your weight, that's not loving your husband. It may be chronic depression, but it's certainly not loving your husband. Okay? It's not meeting his needs. presumably, just say to yourself, would he have loved and married me if I'd been this way? No. Well, aren't you stressing the relationship then by doing it? For the love of your spouse, you're going to be as reasonable as you can, aren't you? And he too, supposing he was, I don't know, wealthy stockbroker, and he suddenly decides he's going to go into the church, give all for Christ, live by faith. This doesn't grab you at all. It's not the bargain you took. Well, you've a right to walk away. You've a right to stay, of course. A right. It's a joy if you stay and follow him in this new course. But you don't have to die to self. If it's a joy to stay, just to be with him, you go anywhere with him because it's being with him that counts. You don't care whether he's rich or poor. Well, that's lovely. Presumably you're valuing something in him that's rather more important than the cash. But you don't have to. And if you don't value such, and you're going to be grudgingly obedient to your vows, despite the appalling change in the deal, well, you don't have to. It's understood. And probably best that you don't carry on with your commitment, because you'll be such a reluctant, twisted wreck in submitting in this way that won't be a blessing to him anyway. Would wreck his ministry, I should think, if that's what it was. So I put it in those terms because that was the example that she gave. We can be passionate in our view and wrong. That's the reality, and we have to remember that. I don't know if I should say that passionately, but if we don't remember it, we can give some awful advice at times. I'm sure I have done without realizing it. I hope without realizing it. Goodness gracious. To have done it deliberately would be awful, wouldn't it? Well, thank you, Heavenly Father. Thank you for coming to why I was doing this particular recording. It caused me problems today. I had a day where one or two instances did not go right. I was accused of talking too much at a meeting by Carol. I talk a lot. And I may talk too much. I didn't take the accusation well. And I thought on reflection, of course, well, is it true or not? And if it is true, do I wish to change the behaviour or not? To what extent? And if it isn't true, that's nice. Chap just waved to me as he passed. He knows me and waved, and I don't recognise him, but lovely, he just wanted to wave and say hello, very clearly. Oh, he's happy as anything. I can see he is. I don't mean he's a nutter, I just mean he's happy. He's enjoying the walk. He's got his hands open, I don't mean his arms up in the air. Anyway, let me get back to... Yes, it was tricky, and then I went to Kiwi Bank to arrange something and didn't get anywhere there at all. But I phoned up the chap responsible for me, who asked me to go and deal with something for one of the boards I'm on, and lovely response, most helpful, and well, we'll see what they do, and I'm talking to someone who, wow, holds me in reasonable regard, aren't I? Lovely. And I felt so much better again. Then I came across a couple of other people, and I think quite deliberately, just contact with them, but not talking about the issue. My lady was got some trousers for me at a good price, very cheap, $15 each, brand new trousers, and she ordered them to fit me just right. A seamstress lady I know. And the organics chap, John, who just enjoyed talking about some health issue with me and 2 other customers. And they rescue. So I've been rescued by some good reactions, which I needed somehow. I was thrown a bit by rejection by Carol. I suppose because Carol seems to be a significant person in my welfare, in that the housing turns on living with her, sharing the house with her and a third chap, younger chap. Yes, life is demanding, isn't it? Each day is different. The solution is to praise your way out of it. You thank God for the issue, you start to look at it and analyze it, keeping a trust in God that it's right, that it's happening. Using it to great blessing. What's the principle? What's going on here? How should I? What's the rule of behavior? Is there a rule? Is there a way of safely minimizing damage, maximizing blessing and gain and benefit? And life becomes a great joy. It might not if you have too many failures in a row, of course, and you start to get swamped by such. We're very emotional, aren't we? We're very much so dominated by success or failure, good or bad things happening in the present. And yet, when they're a week ago, a month ago, even a day ago, even an hour ago, they fade in their significance and importance, don't they? Both the bad things fade in how bad they are, and the good things fade in how good they were, and their current effect on you. Strange, isn't it? It means we're constantly going through specific experiences and focusing on those as important, and we sort out another principle, way of dealing with this sort of situation in the future, and so on. And with the years, we hope wisdom and experience greatly increases our ability to handle such. And I'm not, well, it does, but I still seem to be much dominated by the transitory, much dominated by whether I think things are going good or going badly. Instead of thinking, doesn't matter whether I think they're going good or badly, I'm trusting that God has it always right. Thank you, Heavenly Father.